Let's talk about formatting. Hello and welcome to our monthly training. If you're watching this, you must have been a student of mine, either in live workshops or online. So I'm excited to share this quick training with you. The good news is we have half an hour today. I am on time. That's the great thing about the weekends for me. So I wanted to give a shout out to Mitchie, because this is her idea. I asked you guys on the Facebook group what things you'd want to go over today, and she mentioned how to format on envelopes. And so it's perfect timing because Christmas is, the holidays. I don't know if you celebrate or not, but whether you do, you can always benefit from knowing some basic formatting skills. So I have 3 tips that I'm going to share with you. And whether you can apply that to your own card writing or to just your own creation of work, then I hope these tips are helpful for you. And so I thought it was especially cool because I personally do send out holiday cards, and I try to do that on time, but sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so let's talk about the 2 tips that... Oh, did I say 2? 3. I'm going to do the first 2 in depth because the third, I don't have that, I don't have too many examples for that one. But let's talk about 3 tips for formatting in general. So I tried to apply this a little bit more broadly because then in case you're not sticking to the envelopes, you could still use these tips. Okay, so keep it simple. Oops, I can't spell simple. I think I added an extra hump there. So in these 2 examples here, I kept it really simple. So by simple, let's kind of break it down here. You can see that all of the lines are relatively, I had to eyeball it. I didn't draw any lines or anything, but the idea was that they were all justified to the left. So think about like your word processor, how you justify things to the left side. So that's what I was doing here, and then I just kept the lettering simple, and I just wrote straight across. Nothing fancy, nothing flourished, just really simple. The second one, I changed up the style of the writing, but still really simple. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Everything's pretty much lined up. The difference is I tried to eyeball centering this. Now that is a skill that I think I should reserve for another video, because even with quotes, it can be tricky to eyeball and try to center lines. Another rule of thumb, which it kind of worked out with this example, but I tried to indent a little bit with each line. So this wasn't the perfect example, but here, let me just kind of show you here. So if this is my envelope, then let's put it straight on. So then instead, so one way to do it is just to have all of your lines, no matter how short or long, right? And the idea is that they are aligned, they start on the same line vertically, so they're justified to the left. The second example that I showed you is I indented a little bit, and like I said, it just worked out that each line, the length made it look like it was centered. But say you don't have the same length and they're kind of like different sizes like this, but if you consistently, so if this is your first, where you started the first line and then you kind of tab over, you move over, then the next line starts here, then the next line, so you're indenting, right? If you indent evenly, that looks really nice, and it's a great tip, because then no matter what the length of the other ones are, it still looks good. So the last example is centering all of the lines, and that can be tricky because you have to eyeball exactly. So this here is just trying to keep it all centered, but this is more of an advanced tip, and I'm still working on it too. There's plenty of times when I think I'm eyeballing it correctly and it doesn't totally come out the right way. But I hope that's helpful for the simple part, okay? And then in terms of the style, you can choose any style, but just when I say keep it simple, you're not really playing around with the formatting or the positioning of all of the lines. All right, so for the second one, it is emphasize one or two key words. So again, these tips are more for general formatting, but we are going to apply that to our envelope writing here because I emphasized, for obvious reasons, the main name of the envelope. And then on here, you can see that I emphasized the first name, and then the rest was just a little bit more simple. Another favorite way I like to play around with the large keyword is I will, for example, if this is my envelope, this is probably one of my all-time favorites, so I'll write the name really large, right? I'm just kind of briefly sketching here. I'll write the name really large, and I'll actually use print, like I will write out in print. This is when I can practice my handwriting because I'm normally writing with chicken scratch, but this forces me to slow down. So let me zoom you in here. Sorry about the shadow. This window behind me is, Avenue. So like that, and then Sacramento. So see how I'm printing? Like I would just keep Sacramento and then numbers for the zip code. So in this case, I'm making the name really large and then keeping this really simple. And then at this point, you can apply one of these tips. You could do the left justified, you could do the indenting, or you could do the centering of the address. Okay? And this works out too, for example, with your quotes. Trying to find a scrap piece of paper. So if I were doing a quote like, love is patient, I could keep it simple. I could say love is patient, okay? And I'm making this in print so you could get you could focus on the formatting, okay? But you could do this in your calligraphy. You could do a mix of calligraphy and print, or I can focus on, let's see, I could make love really big. Love. And then you could go back to your print is patient. Okay. Or maybe you like the keywords love and patient, right? So you could do love. And then you could do is really small in print. I like to mix it up sometimes. And then you could do patient really. Oh, that's shadow, sorry. Hope you can see this. And you guys do not focus on how straight or neat my writing is. I hope you're just looking at the formatting, okay? Okay, as I told you in last training, I think I wanted you to just know that when I'm focusing on a key tip, I might loosen the reins on other parts of the skills that you should be focusing on. Okay, so here the emphasis is on this word, and then this word. Here we emphasize this word only. Here we didn't emphasize any words. Okay, so hope that makes sense. And then the third tip I have for you, and let's see. Hi Patricia, I was hoping to see if anyone would be able to join today. I want to make a comment, you guys, that on the back end, like behind the scenes, it's been a little tricky on the technical and admin sides. So I apologize for the lack of smoothness on my end. I feel like I've been scrambling, and I recently did the hand-lettered ABCs challenge, so I was just like chasing my tail trying to get that together. So I'm super glad I hopped on today, but just want to apologize for I'm hoping to get back into the swing of things in the next few weeks. So all right, last one, create shapes, sketch it out. Now this one I don't have too many examples. I just briefly came up with this one here, but what I was thinking with this one, so I have two thoughts here. So when you're thinking of your envelope design or your quote design or whatever, try to think of creative ways you can align shapes. So for starters, I like to use like blocks. So I totally just came up with this one. It's not totally innovative, but the idea is that you first want to think of shape structure, and then you would go in, and this is all sketching it out first. You want to be careful of not to go straight to your envelope, but with this example I was thinking, so here's my stamp in the corner, right? I don't know if we're going to make the postman mad, but say I wrote the name really large here. Oops, I don't know what happened to that first E. And then I turned it. I'm just trying to add some style and some design, but preserving the way I write the letters. I mean, the readability, right? So 1, 3, 4, let's see, First Avenue. So I'm purposely keeping my lettering in the boxes in my shapes here. Sacramento. So clearly I'm going to run out of room, but that's why we're sketching first. Then I could do a second draft and I would know a little bit better with the spacing. And then let's say my 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Looks crazy, right? But for starters, if it's readable, you should be able to send it. I get nervous if it's not readable, if your writing is messy, a little too, not clear. That's what you have to worry about. But if the components are here, you should be fine with the post office. Secondly, if we're just doing basic formatting, remember, then hopefully you can take this idea and use your quotes and fit in words. Maybe you don't want to write sideways like this, but the idea is that you're fitting your content into these shapes. Now you're probably wondering what to do with the lines that you drew. So the obvious one for starters would be to pencil it out. Okay, so use like a pencil, or you can sketch out the design and then place it underneath your envelope. Preferably if you have a light colored one like white or a really light tan, then you can shine a light behind it like a light pad. And I have been meaning to share some of those. I've been meaning to create some videos on how I use my light pad for creating this kind of style. So let's see, let's write Patricia's name since she's here. So then I could do the name really big. Patricia. Okay. And then I would write your address really small. And I didn't say this in the beginning, but all of these addresses are made up, you guys. I tried to make them a little bit real, but they're still made up. So let's see. 222 2nd Street. You live in, gonna make it up, Santa Cruz, California. And then here I had this idea to make the address like the zip code 3210. The vertical way, sorry postman, hopefully that would be accepted. So with this here example, I kind of did the same shapes across, but I didn't play around too much with the boxes, if that makes sense. Here I tried to add like a different shape here. Wow, you guys, I think the hand-lettered ABCs challenge in these past few weeks has trained me to really talk fast and get through a lesson. So we have 15 minutes, and I don't have too many of you here in the chat. So I'm just going to go ahead and redo these examples and kind of walk you through my process, and hopefully you'll enjoy that in these last 15 minutes of the training. But otherwise, those are the 3 tips here. Keep it simple, emphasize 1 to 2 keywords, and create shapes. And you can apply this to quotes or to other things that you're creating, but I specifically applied it here to the envelopes. So let me bring you up a little bit higher. And I want to talk about this device that I bought, not very specific to calligraphy. It is literally just a laser leveler. So if you turn it on here, then this light comes out. This is a laser light, and you want to be careful to not have kids around, or just make sure it's not shining in anyone's eyes, because that wouldn't be good. So what I did, I love using this because, number one, I am lazy and I don't like creating lines with my pencil and then lightly erasing it. So I'm just admitting that to you now, although that is a great practice. My calligraphy friend Nina uses her pencil on black line paper, which makes sense, and then she'll write her quote or name or whatever. So you can see that I kind of tried to line up with my laser leveler here. And so what I would do is I would take like a blank envelope, okay, and one tip I have for you is to use some line paper in the back, and then you can kind of line the laser leveler on one of the lines of the grid pad. Then you know it's relatively straight, and then when you take your envelope, if you line this up, so I'm looking at the grid lines, because if you don't have that guide sheet in the back, you could be slightly off and not know it. So that's one tip I have. It only works, of course, if your envelope fits on your graph paper, but that is a neat tip. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that simple version. Let's do P. This is a Finding Nemo reference. P. Sherman. Oh man, I don't even remember the the exact address. We're gonna have to make it up. I think there's something like Wallaby, so let's just do 4 Wallaby. So for this example, I'm going to keep them aligned on the left, okay? And then I'm skipping the same number of lines to keep it consistent. Sydney. Australia, right? You know what would be really fun is to get some international addresses, because I know different places have different formats to their, and different lines and different components to their addresses. So that would be really fun. Making up numbers, guys. Okay, so I aligned all of them here and then just wrote out my lines. In case you're wondering what to do with the return address, you could simply write it up there. Sometimes I try to use up the whole space on the front, and then on the back I'll write my return address really subtly. Sometimes I have it printed already, like when I order my envelopes. So that's one way to do it. Let's just do one other example. And if you are watching this, I would love if you'd let me know what you think of the video, because you can comment down below. This is being streamed on YouTube. It's private, but it's nice that we can still treat it like a platform for you to communicate with me. So let me know in a comment if you love this, if you like it, if you want to see more. Okay, so for this one, let's do Patricia's name. So I'm going to do Patricia's name really large, which is fun to do with, of course, a large pen. So I'm using a Sakura Koi here. So with this one, I kind of went to town with the flourish at the end. And then I like taking like a micron or some other fine point pen. Even like the Fudenosuke pen, hard tips are really sharp enough to write the address. So then let's just do the indenting method. So if I have my address here, 5, 5, 5, 5th, then I do print just so I can give my brain a break, 5th Avenue. Then I'm gonna skip the same number of lines. Oh, I think I went too far. And then I'm gonna indent. So this was kind of my first indent here. Then I'm gonna indent again. Let's do San. I don't know where you live, Patricia, but we'll just pretend you live in San Diego, California. Oh, and another thing that I didn't show you guys is I like to, we're just gonna do all 7s. I like to also write out the state name. So in this case, it would be California. And that's really fun because then it's a long word, another one that I can use I can write in calligraphy, I can flourish it. It's just another, remember on our second tip, we could emphasize keywords. Okay, so I'm imagining, actually let's try that out real quick. We could squeeze one more in. Okay, so on this one, let's write, let's do Jacqueline. That's baby Pieces' name. Okay. So what did I say? I would emphasize this, the first. Uh-oh, of course her name's super long though, sorry. Jacqueline. Okay. Then I would write out her address. Let's see. Let's skip one more line so you don't touch the Q there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. She's been loving Elmo lately. Elmo Avenue. And then maybe for the I probably wouldn't use these colors, but let's just see. Let's see, Sacramento. Okay. Then I'm gonna skip an extra line and write California really big. So let's see. California, oops. Okay, do you get the idea? Hopefully you guys like that idea. Not gonna lie, I've never done this before, but I just kind of had it in my mind. And then we'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So when I do the zip code this way, like I try to, I forgot the name for it, for justifying it across your width of your whole area. I eyeball mine, but a really, really cool tip that I learned from Nina, but she shared it from Suzanne Cunningham. If you have your address here, oh, I ran out of paper. If this is your paper, your envelope, okay, so you have your name here, or small, it doesn't matter, but here's your address. In order to center, man, I need to know the word, to justify that zip code across the width, like you want to keep it in this area, start by, so if the zip code is 54321, take the outside numbers and write those first, 5 and 1. Then take your middle number and find the center. You can just guess, but at least you know not to put it over here or over here, right? You would find the center, 3. Then you can put these remaining numbers there. So I would now just look at the 5 and the 3, and I would put the 4 there. Then I would look just at the 3 and the 1, and I would put the 2 in the middle there. Isn't that so cool? I mean, it's simple, but that was really a really neat tip. So if you get to use that, let me know. I would love to see you use that. Look at this box here. Okay. I don't know. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, this live training. I like going a little bit more in depth with a topic. So thanks to Mitchie for suggesting today's idea. So if you have an idea, please send me a note, or you can comment down below, or just wait for that call when I send out an email or post in the Facebook group for what suggestions you guys want me to go over. These trainings are specifically for you guys, my students, because you deserve extra attention, extra help. Any way I can be there for you. So please let me know so I can prepare for that and get you to where you want to go. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next month, hopefully sooner. I have a couple of fun things coming up. Actually, I lied, just one. Calligraphy, which is in SoCal, and that's October 13th and 14th. And so if I don't see you there, I will see you here next month for the live training.